one of the most interesting races I think I've ever experienced. The Food City 500 at Bristol. It was good to see that it was back on dirt. And, the question all week was how Goodyear's tires were going to mix with the resin. It was the same tire, if I recall correctly, from last year, but the resin that they put on the inside line was completely different. And it was unbelievable. I've never seen tires fade out like that. You couldn't go more than 40 laps without seeing some carnage of some sort happen. It was honestly, I was surprised they were able to go 121 laps on that last run. There were cars that were starting to slow down. Christopher Bell went from about a second and a half off the lead to losing a lap within, honest to God, about 15 laps, just because as soon as you hit that 40 to 45 lap mark, that was it. You either had to pit or you were in for some trouble. So it was really interesting to see how certain teams were able to handle it better than others. Ty Gibbs looked like he had the best car. He won both stages after starting in the 19th spot. He didn't have a great start to the weekend by any means, got into the wall in practice, but he looked really good. He even had some pit road issues and was able to just fly through the field. It looked like he was just able to push it more than anybody else. But he had a flat tire at the end, cost him a chance at the win. He ended up ninth. Only 5 cars on the lead lap. Denny Hamlin gets his first win of the season. He won by just over a second over Martin Truex. It looked like Truex might have had something for him. They were battling right before that last pit stop, and both of them were just kind of on old tires, but Hamlin ended up getting out ahead, and he got the win. Truex second, Brad Keselowski third, Alex Bowman fourth. Didn't really hear much from him all day, but he played the strategy well, and Kyle Larson rounds out the top 5. Those are the only 5 cars on the lead lap. And what I found interesting about this race was just the fact that last year in the Bristol night race, it was Joe Gibbs absolutely dominating. Denny Hamlin, Ty Gibbs, and Christopher Bell each led over 100 laps. I think it was around 430 of 500 laps or something along those lines. And for the most part, it was the same thing again. It looked like before the tire issues with Gibbs and Bell that they were going to run 1, 2, 3, 4 because that's where they were pretty comfortably ahead of Keselowski in 5th. Didn't have the same kind of domination. Denny Hamlin ended up leading 163 laps. He really dominated at the end. Ty Gibbs led 137. Truex Jr. led 54, which I didn't realize. He was up front a lot. I didn't realize he led that many laps. Christopher Bell was up front for 29. And like I said, it was Ty Gibbs winning both stages. So those are the first 2 stages of his career, if you can believe that. But a great race overall. 54 lead changes. I think we need to spend some time talking about that. That's the most ever on a NASCAR short track. It's the most I can remember ever in a race that wasn't at New Atlanta, Daytona, or Talladega. It was unbelievable. It was 2 laps, 18 laps, 5 laps, 1 lap, 4 lap, 10 laps, 7 laps, 31 laps is the most, 33, 42. Yeah, the most anyone led consecutively was 42 laps, and it was Ty Gibbs from laps 323 to lap 364, which was in during a green flag run, kind of a short. It was a 46 lap run before an accident in turn 4. It was something. It was really something special to see. Obviously, the reviews are pretty mixed. Some drivers obviously weren't a fan of it. William Byron, Kyle Busch, among others, were complaining. Kyle Larson had some less than positive reviews about it, but they also had bad days. Byron, his day was ruined on lap 23 when he got up in the wall. He was 8 laps down, finished 35th. Kyle Busch spun out early after leading early in the race, but he ended up spinning out at the end of stage 1. He ended up 2 laps down in 25th. Larson I think he had a pit road penalty or something like that, but he had some speed up front, but ended up fading back. But I thought it was a great race. We've been talking so much about those short tracks, this package being so hard to pass on now with the shifting everywhere. We've seen it at Martinsville. You don't downshift at Martinsville, and all of a sudden people are downshifting at Martinsville. And this is the best possible way to get passing, to get battles, to get some sort of strategy back into things. And I think Goodyear, obviously, they even admitted it. They swung for the fences for tire wear, just the softest tire that they can make so that it would wear and that it would cause comers and goers and strategy like that. They hit a home run. Did they overstep? Yeah, maybe. But it was a step that they had to make, in my opinion. I don't think you could have gone conservative with the tire strategy. If they were testing it, they were really trying to see what would happen. This is what they had to do. And what I liked about this race is that even with the strategy, even with the chaos, I mean, the guys that I'm mentioning, Denny Hamlin was up front. He won the race. Brad Keselowski was up front. Ty Gibbs led over 100 laps at Bristol again. Christopher Bell up front. Kyle Busch leading laps. Kyle Larson. These are guys that are good at Bristol. This race wasn't just a crapshoot by any means. The best drivers at this track showed it. They were up front. They were conserving their tires better. They were adjusting to the track based on what was given to them. I thought this was a very, very good NASCAR race. And I think based on what we've seen with the short track package, this is exactly what we were looking for. Looking at the point standings, Kyle Larson and Martin Truex Jr. Are tied for the points lead. They have 185 points apiece. Larson obviously has the win. Ty Gibbs is third in the points. This is another top 10 for him. I think he's got 4 on the year now. Really good start for Ty Gibbs. He's got the best average finish in the Cup Series as well. Ryan Blaney drops to 4th. He started from the pole. Didn't have the best day. I think he also got a speeding penalty. There were a lot of penalties in this race. It was just a lot of chaos. It was really hard to keep track of who was running where at certain points of the race. But he drops to 4th. Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Ross Chastain, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, William Byron is your top 10. The playoffs started right now. Kyle Busch would be the last driver in over Bubba Wallace, Michael McDowell, Chase Briscoe, Eric Jones, and Austin Cindric. Next week, we've had a lot of different tracks already throughout the year. We had Daytona, Atlanta, Vegas, our first mile and a half, Phoenix, championship race, obviously the first race with this new short track package. And then we had Bristol, a short track, not with the package, but with a new tire in it. We've gotten a lot of different sample sizes on what to expect this year. Next week, we go to our first road course of the season, Circuit of the Americas. Obviously, we can't really know what to expect, who's going to be good there or anything like that. You know, you can think of some guys when you think road courses. You think of AJ Allmendinger, who's going to be in the 13 car. Shane Van Gisbergen will be making his first start this year in the 16 for Kaulig Racing. You think of last year's winner at Circuit of the Americas, Tyler Reddick. You think of Hendrick Motorsports. Obviously, their package is phenomenal. You think of Austin Cindric. I think my pick for the race is going to be the guy who had the second best car at Circuit of the Americas last year. That is going to be William Byron. He's got the win at Daytona this year. He's won a road course race last year in Watkins Glen. That race only had one caution for Chase Elliott running out of gas. Curious to see what the road course package looks like. Circuit of the Americas, a couple changes from last year. They got rid of the stage cautions, which I'm personally not a fan of. I liked the added strategy that provided. And also there were a lot of really ugly crashes on late restarts in turn 1 just because they're so stacked up against each other. Everyone was dive bombing. I believe they moved the restart zone back, so it's going to be kind of more of a running start. So it should be a little bit more spread out, avoid that carnage. Because it was a pretty good race up until that point, but then it got a little bit ugly. Gave a black guy at a track that NASCAR should do very well at. Circuit of the Americas is a great opportunity for NASCAR. So we'll see how all those changes affect the racing next week. But until then, we're going to keep this a regular thing on the Loomis Lead. My name is Harry Loomis. Thank you for watching. We will see you guys next week.